best way to avoid running out of money. The best way to avoid running out of money is to plan your finances and boost your income. Money has become a very important subject of discussion as a recession looms over the global economy. In the bull market, people are reckless about money and how they spend money. Investments got on the rise and stock tips were flying around. But now, the fear of running out of money is triggering people's financial choices. And it is leading to the most common mistakes of the bear market. That is the strategy of managing the money you have instead of controlling it. There is a significant difference between managing money and controlling money. Managing money is cutting back what you do and using what you have to focus on the essentials of survival. Controlling money is weaponizing your financial structure to go forward despite the economic situation. On the surface, both look like cutting back on the things you do with money. While managing prioritizes the essentials of survival, controlling prioritizes the elements of growth. The best time to grow is in a bear market. Financial growth in the bull market is often confused with hype growth. In most cases, you cannot tell the difference between real growth and hype growth in a bull market. But any growth in the bear market is real growth. Recessions are not universal concepts. In the actual sense of it, there is never a time everybody in the world is going through a financial downturn. It is a downturn for a lot of people, but there are people on the other side. Recessions are super good times for some people. Of course, it is not the same set of people all the time, but it is a good time for some. Just as an example, there are industries such as the online gaming industry that have boomed during the global lockdown. While the emphasis for most people is to avoid running out of money, basically cutting down expenses is not enough. In fact, many of those who generally cut down expenses still run out of money. The best way to stop your income from running out is to plan your finances and boost your income. Here are a few tips that will help anyone avoid running out of money. 1. Reprioritize your income. If you want to manage your income, you can rely on common sense to help. But if you don't want to fall into the same mess most people fall into, then you must not rely on common sense. Don't do what everybody else is doing. Even if they are calling it a smart thing, don't do it. Create your own plan. Reprioritize your income on things that drive financial growth. Here is how to divide your income into 3 sections. Section A. These are things you do with your money that is connected to your future. Examples are assets, learning, businesses, etc. Section B. These are things you do with your money that is connected to your present. Examples are food, clothing, transportation, etc. Section C. These are things you do with your money that is connected to your past. Examples are debt, taxes, adulthood obligations, etc. Now, you divide your income via percentage into these sections. The lesson here is to consider section A first, then B, and lastly C. You may be tempted to consider C first. Don't do it. Decide what you want to do for A first. As an example, mine currently looks like this: Section O, 51%, Section B, 22%, Section C, 27%. Section C is where you should cut back as much as you can. You can even reduce your taxes significantly by spending more in Section A, according to the laws of your country. Don't compromise for Section A also. Don't cut back for Section B unless you spend too lavishly already. As much as possible, don't drop your living standard. Break down your last income according to this division. And see where you need to improve. Section A must always be way ahead. Section C must be as low as possible, although C can be more than B, like in my own case. Most people would like to start by listing out Section C. However, you must look into how you can reduce it to favor Section A, or think about what you can add to it that will reduce C. 2. Short-term savings. Savings is not smart over the long term. In fact, most tax laws are designed to discourage savings. However, learning the discipline of setting some money aside is very important. Saving in the short term is good practice. Short term means a couple of months at maximum. It must not be up to a year. Savings like this must have a purpose. And the purpose is something you decide first before starting to save. An example is putting some money aside so you can have something to use as a down payment for a real estate property. Some experts talk about having an emergency fund. But the problem is that the psychology behind having such a fund can sabotage the effort. For example, what would be classified as an emergency? And in most cases, when emergencies arise, the emergency fund is not enough. If you plan for an emergency, you will have an emergency. But if you preempt an emergency and position your finances well, you will have little to worry about in an emergency. When you preempt an emergency, you plan to raise your income. But when you plan for an emergency, you save from your income. Short-term savings is to lock down opportunities. There are momentarily opportunities that dissipate easily if you don't have the cash to lock it down. This is the reason for short-term saving. It is about having extra cash to lock opportunities down. But the saved-up money must be used up before long. 3. Spend more. Not running out of money is about spending more on what really matters. Let me explain. Assume there is a bucket with water running into it from a tap. One way of making the bucket not to get empty is to plug the leaks. And that is good. But another way is to increase the pressure from the tap. Or open another tap running water. This point is about increasing the pressure of the tap. Spend more on things that increase your income. A good example is courses that teach skills that amplify your professional relevance. There is no point in trying to be smart about how you plan your money if there is too little coming in. Spend more to earn more, increase your proficiency. If you don't want to run out of money, then find a way to make more money. Always remember that you need to prove you can do the job before asking for more money. The bear market has always made employees with entrepreneurial mindset rich. These are employees that go to their boss, offer to solve a problem the company has for a commission on the new revenue they produce, aside from their regular salary. There are people who have earned as much as 10 times their usual salaries in commissions in a month. 4. Become financially accountable. This is an effective way to make sure that you stick to whatever financial plan you set for yourself. Sometimes people know the right thing to do, they just don't have the will to do it. Instead of pretending you have the will when you really don't, find someone to be accountable to. Find someone older, either in age or status, better at dealing with money, that you sincerely respect to be financially accountable to. If you have to report your finances to someone you fear, it will caution a lot of unnecessary financial behaviors from you. Find someone you will be financially accountable to if financial discipline is a challenge for you. This is an absolute must. 5. Weekly financial report. The decision not to run out of money is a decision to plan your finances. When you have decided who to be financially accountable to, on a personal basis, then you should create a report that you would submit every week. Write a personal financial report every week and submit it. I am quite good at planning my finances by myself, so I don't do this for finance. But I do it for my productivity. I write a weekly productivity report to someone I respect. I do that every Sunday. And it has improved my productivity by leaps and bounds since I began. If your finances are in a mess, you should do this. The first few weeks will be horrible because it will expose you to how your financial life really is. You may start out having expenses you can't explain. But as you go on, your approach to money will change. And if the person you submit your report to is financially sound, they will help you straighten your money mindset. Don't submit your report to someone in the same mess as you. Find someone who is organized about money much than you. It must also be someone you can learn from. 6. Create another source of income. This is about opening another tap into your bucket. The rich have multiple sources of income. The poor have no source of income. The middle class is trading time for money. You need to create another income source. You should be asking, how can I monetize something else I am good at? Think about it. Anything can be monetized. You just have to figure out how. Of course, not everything should be monetized, but there are certainly some things that you can monetize. All hobbies can be turned into a side business, you just have to find someone who is doing it and see how it is done in life. Expenses just keep going up. You must plan how to grow your income whether you need it immediately or not. This is because you will eventually need it. In fact, it is good to increase your income before your expenses catch up. 7. Punish impulsive spending. Some people teach tips like cutting up your credit cards, cutting down food consumption, and the likes. I don't believe in those things because I believe in going forward, not backward. But there are indeed bad financial habits that should be discouraged. The idea of feeling powerless to buy something you want is not a good thing. It can create a psychological barrier that keeps you from going forward. However, there is a better way to deal with impulsive buying. And it is to punish yourself for it. This is about setting a clear precedent of what will happen if you decide to overspend. For example, if your budget for the day is $100 and for some reason, you end up spending $120. Then the extra $20 is deducted from your budget for the next day. This means you have $80 to spend. Another example is if you go out and you overspend, then you will miss the next 2 times you ought to go out. To make these work, things like this will be included in your weekly financial report. This is so that there is someone holding you accountable for your choices. Conclusion. Your bank account is like a bucket under running water. The tap is your source of income. The holes in the bucket are your expenses. Hence there are 3 ways to not run out of money. Block the holes, increase the pressure of the tap, turn on another tap. Point 1, 4, 5, and 7 is about blocking the holes. Point 3 is about increasing the pressure of the tap. Point 2 and 6 is about turning on another tap. I hope you found something useful here. Please don't forget to subscribe for more educative and informative video like this. See you in the next video. Peace.